then. But right now, I'd like to say welcome to Bavneet. Welcome. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Tell me something about you.
I'm doing awesome. Toronto Starts. We're growing more and more. I thought when COVID hit, you and I
Yeah,
um, met at at the end of February, but I think we were emailing before that. And then COVID happened, and the world has changed. And I was doing in person events, and we met at Move the Dial Tories event, and Move the Dial doesn't
right.
exist anymore. So things, a lot of things have changed, and maybe it'll be coming back, hopefully, but we'll see. But running live events all of a sudden stopped, and that was kind of my business: live events, workshops, courses, helping startups one on one. But now we're back, and we've been back. We're busier than ever. Last week I had 8 events, so it's just a little less commuting. Other than that, we're just engaging more and more entrepreneurs, and we're getting more and more entrepreneurs that couldn't make our events before because all our events run downtown Toronto. If you're not in Toronto, it's a pain to get to. We get people come from Newmarket and farther away, and I'm always amazed that you traveled that far to get here. But now people don't have to because we can engage people. We have people from Silicon Valley and all over the U.S. and all over Canada hopping on these because their information is valuable. So I'm really excited about the direction this is going. We can help more entrepreneurs. I can have more people on. It's easier to get more speakers when they can just come on for a half hour, an hour, and talk about their thing, and we can really drill deep on it than getting a whole bunch of people together in a room to do that and get people down. So it's
Right.
so much easier for me to be able to engage more. But the engagement's not the same. I kind of thrive on people and being around people and the energy. If you've ever been to my Startup Drinks events, you'll know what I'm talking about. Startup Drinks is open pitch, open bar. Have you been?
Yeah, yeah.
So
One
this,
of them.
yeah, it's pretty high energy, and we had this year we'd integrate investor speed dating. So there's a lot going on at the. You come in, you got about depending on when you get there, an hour to a half hour to an hour to mingle. But we're also starting investor speed dating. So if you're on that list, you're busy doing that, and then we hit the pitches and the speeches, and then there's massive amount of networking afterwards, and it's pretty, and it's always high energy and that charges me. So I don't get the same energy from the screen. So I'm hoping so it's hard to do that. Exactly, it's not the same. So I
Yeah.
need to find other ways. So how about you? How have things changed in your life as a result of this?
So they definitely have changed because I was working full time. I still am, and with that, I'm hustling with this little startup of mine. So yeah, we used to go to office, and after that, I used to go on to networking events and everything. Now it has all become virtual. Like your office meetings are virtual, and then your if you want to promote something about your work, that's virtual. You have virtual, fleas around which are happening in Toronto, so lots of things have turned virtual. So I am kind of an introvert person, so I really don't like going out much. So for me, it's really good. But I would surely say that when you go out and when you meet people, the kind of energy which you can feel there versus what you can feel at home, it definitely lacks a bit. So meeting people up is different than doing everything virtually, but it has, on the other hand, it has given us a bigger exposure. Like as you just mentioned, we can talk to anyone based out in US if we are in a virtual meetup, and get to hear them and get to learn from them. So those things have become more open. We have like been forced to do it, but people have accepted it pretty well, and the exposure has become great that way. So I'm enjoying the benefits of it.
Yeah, and there are definite benefits. For us, like I said, since we're doing more and it's all online, we're recording everything. So it was
Yeah,
harder to
right.
do that before. So now we've got, I don't know, somewhere between 80 and 100 hours of content, specifically talking to different experts on different subjects related to funding or marketing and startups. So we've got a lot that we wouldn't have been able to produce otherwise. So it's
Yeah,
interesting.
that's true. That's interesting. Yeah.
So before we get really into you, why don't you tell me about Jay, what are scarves? What? Yeah, go ahead.
So it's like we started out in 2016, but it was more a B2B thing. And we were catering to the UK market where we were manufacturing products for, I would say, kids there, the winter wear kids, and we were doing it for really good brands. And we were taking orders and then we were producing for them and then we were exporting. And all this was happening while I was back in India. Then I moved here in like 2019 beginning, that is what I would say, and I wanted to get into this market as well. And Canadian and US market is something which we hadn't explored, so it's a new area for me. And I just felt that it's so cold out here, like 6, 7 months people use scarves. So, and then I started exploring the scarves market. I tried to figure out where all like people use scarves, what kind of scarves do they use, and people are crazy about merchandising when they go out and watch some game and they use that. And then it's actually really cold as compared to India. So in India we do wear scarves, but it's restricted to probably December, January, February tops. But over here, like, it's chilly, so you definitely need that product. So I thought that let's explore this market. I'm still learning a lot, and it's like almost a year for me. I have been just doing my market research and I have been meeting people. I have been exploring products, what are out there, and how can we present ourselves differently. So it has been a learning journey for me, and I'm enjoying it. I'm excited about what happens next. So yeah, that's it. That's about
Great.
it.
I got a few more questions to ask you, but before we get into it, I'm going to ask you a few questions about, what were you like growing up? Were you a handful for your parents? Were you studious? Were into music, sports, socializing?
Not into socializing, a little into music, and very studious. So yeah. So it
And
was always like I want to get into the top college in our in our country, which is there. So I was like, I have to study hard for it. If I don't, I won't be able to get out there. So yeah, so it was more of being studious, a lot studious. But since coming from a business background, I always had that thing in me that, I wanted to do something into entrepreneurship. I want to do something into entrepreneurship. But being an introvert, that just doesn't get that well. So because you have to go out into the world, you knock certain doors and you have to hear a lot of no's before you finally get to hear a yes. So yeah, so that journey has made me become a little more social than I used to be, and a lot more world wise because I used to be like more into books and everything.
so you're saying you're very studious, and you say early on you knew you wanted to be an entrepreneur. So naturally, like at what point were you 5 and wanted to be an entrepreneur, or
No,
were you
probably
young
not.
and saying I got to study because I want to
Probably I
be?
was like 18 or 19 when I started talking about it to my dad that I want to do something of my own. I want to do something of my own. So yeah.
And a lot of times, when you're going to university, parents want you to go to a traditional path and not necessarily do something on your own. So when you started talking like that, how did your parents react?
I won't say it was that well perceived, but they never really stopped like all of my siblings as well. My father, for that matter, has been a very, adjusting person. And I won't say that there's a generation gap between us because he always tries to, understand what point we are coming out from, what do we have to say. And India is a very different country. Like over there, people get married by the age of 25 or 26 because it's that kind of atmosphere where people want to get their kids married at an early age and they want them to settle in their lives, especially for women. So growing up in that atmosphere and having friends around who are already settled out in their life and everything, and then taking a plunge, okay, let's go on to a different country now because probably that country is like, you are being pressurized, okay, settle down in life, but you're like, no, you haven't met your goals yet. You want to go out and explore something more. So that's when I started to think, okay, if I want to do what I feel like doing for myself, and if I want to jump into entrepreneurship, it's not going to happen in India because there's some kind of pressure, and that pressure will just, be too much to handle. So that's why I thought that, okay, let's go to a country which is receptive of me as a person and is warm and welcoming, which it has been, touchwood, for now. Like I've met a lot of warm people. I have learned a lot of good manners after coming around here, and So yeah, it's been really, really nice journey.
It's good to hear that you've met a lot of welcoming people here, and hopefully you'll meet a lot more welcoming people. Now, when did you get into cruelty-free products? Was this at an early age? Was this later on? Like, why vegan scarves?
So I have been vegetarian myself, and it's been like 12, 13 years. And I would just say that when you get into entrepreneurship and you think about it, that what all ways you can actually make a difference, and you go out and you see the products which are out there and how you can give an equally or a better quality product to people while being, socially responsible, or having uh, taking that, I would say, taking that on your shoulders, that you have to give out good and you have to, take care of the environment as well, which you're working into. It does get expensive in going out this way because you are not mass producing it. You are not like taking cheap quality raw materials and just putting stuff out there. You are taking care of every part of the process, that it is held or it is taken care of ethically, and the product you give out there increases your cost by, I would say, like 2 times. But you have that satisfaction that what you're doing is good, and the workers or the people who are taking care of the production, they are being paid well, they are being taken care of well, and like nobody is suffering on that perspective. So just being a good person and just thinking about that, what you're doing, what you're adding up is adding positivity into the entire process, just makes us feel good. And yes, cruelty free is a very big part of it, because a lot of scarves which you see out there are made of wool, which are like cashmere and angora. They are used from baby rabbits fur, or they are used from baby alpacas fur. So we know how those animals are kept around there and how they are raised around there. So it's not that I would say it's harmful for the environment, and it's the way they are like kept in those areas. It's difficult to think about what they go through. So that just made us take the vegan route and take the route in which we have to, take the raw materials in which nothing of that sort is used. It's naturally processed and all those things, and then give out the products to people.
I think it's great. I don't haven't in the past, at least, shopped with a cruelty-free mindset, and it's interesting. I'm going to be thinking about that moving forward because, as you mentioned, here in Canada we have some mink farms, and I had the pleasure, unfortunate, whatever you want to say, to work on one for a week, and understanding the cruelty and the types of things that happen on these types of farms. I definitely want to be more conscious about this kind of stuff moving forward, rather than just go and buy a jacket that looks nice or go. So I think
Yeah.
I wouldn't have thought about that in clothing. So it's interesting. I thank you for one bringing that up, and two, how do you reveal that? Like, there's obviously people who are already thinking this way, people like
Right.
yourself, but how? And that's, I guess, your ideal client. But what about people like me who haven't thought about that before, and after a quick discussion or whatnot, would definitely start thinking about these types of things? How do you get to us in a marketplace like this?
So I would just say that it's still a learning journey for me. Like, I'm trying to present it as clearly as possible, and the way to present is definitely through Instagram, or through social networking, or all these media outlets which are available out there. So there has to be call in the way you write out your posts, in the way you send out your pictures, or in the way you try to present yourself, because I think a picture says 1,000 words. So the way we maintain our social network, and the way we like write down our posts, and how detailed we write down about our processes, or how in a detailed manner we tell people that the products which we are using, and the way we are taking our entire process of production, and also in the way in which we are, maintaining our team out there, we are taking care of them. Every process involves a cruelty free manner, or a manner in which everybody gets back to their home happy. and the raw materials which you are using also is not harming anyone. I won't say that they won't completely harm the environment, because any process which you do is going to take a toll on earth. So like whether it's using lighting, whether it's using the machinery, using electricity. But now recently what we have done out here, which we are going to very soon reveal on our website as well, is we have tied up with this organization called One Tree Planted. So for every product that we sell out, we are going to plant one tree. And so it's an organization that helps you give donations towards various fundraising which they are doing. And we can even choose an area. Probably we can choose Africa for one season, we can choose India for the other season, we can choose Australia for other season, and we can just help in reforestation process over there. So we felt like that probably we are not giving out more, and we need to give out more. So, and when you think that you have the ability to do so and you're able to do it, even a little bit of it, you are contributing positively. So that's where I feel that we all has been done through social, like Instagram per se, specifically for now. And that's the only, I think, network through which we want to push out our message more.
Yeah, and I like it, and I like the Instagram and the messaging. But when we look at the unmet need you're trying to fill, or the problem you're solving, is one, you're trying to create a better world with all the things you're doing, obviously,
Right.
and making an impact. But how do you get that across to the consumer? And or the opposite, that how do you get across to the consumer that when I walk into, I don't know, my local sport check and look at jackets or look at this or look at that, how do I know what impact that has had in the environment?
So I would say we are in the process of doing it, and we are not there exactly. We are also taking our baby steps to learn it, how to how to present it to the customers in a well manner. But our tags which we use, or whenever you buy a product, they definitely have a lot of description about what are the raw materials that are being used. So I, being a very curious person, whenever I go out and buy a product, if there's some term which I don't understand, I Google it there and then, and just try to know, okay, where has this come from? And also there are very new websites which have come up, like Fashion Revolution, like sustainable fashion forums out there, and there are Business of Fashion. So all these websites, they tell you that how exactly the processes are being changed, and how exactly there are new kind of innovations which are happening out there, and you can present it to the customers. But ultimately, as I just said, that a picture says 1,000 words. If a consumer likes the picture that you posted, and that picture is self-sufficient, and explains a lot about your process, that how sustainable it is, or how like environment friendly it is, or how we are giving out to the nature, then they automatically want to know more about you, and probably they would want to follow you and want to see that what all innovations you are doing. And that's where it is. But I would still say that we as a consumers, even if we go out and buy stuff more, and until and unless that product looks good on us, we are not going to buy it. So you have to give the consumer a beautiful product. You have to make your story available to them out there, whether it's through your social media, whether it's through the tags which you are attaching, or whether it's through word of mouth, which will slowly happen. And then as we educate more and more consumers, I believe that we'll get that following along the way, that there is a way out there which is positive, which gives out positively, than harming the environment, or not paying the people who are actually making your clothes fit. Because this has recently been a very big matter of discussion, that all the fashion brands out there which are big out there, they say that it's made in probably Europe or someplace, but ultimately that is being made in the developing countries where the workers are not being paid well. Yeah, so it's coming up, we are learning it.
Yeah, and I'm, all over the news right now is China, and we're hearing about Uyghur work camps potentially for all
Yeah.
these companies producing stuff. And again, I don't I don't know the truth about any of this, but the news starts to come out, and you got to wonder, do these big companies know that this is what's going on? So I
Yeah.
know I take a step back, and I've talked to a lot of startups, as you're aware, and I work with a few. And a few years back, I was talking to somebody who was uh, doing a grow garden or whatnot, and nonetheless, the reason he got into it was because he went out and bought something he thought was healthy, got home and started looking at the ingredients, and there was some incredibly unhealthy stuff in there. And so one of the things I suggested for him as he was going around is, do you really know what you're eating? So go to some of these places, do little Instagram videos or YouTube videos where you're doing 30 seconds where you're reading off the ingredients of the product. And maybe talking about what each of them do, and you're like, wow, did this is supposed to be healthy bread, look at this, blah blah blah, or whatnot. I could say the same thing for you, right? You could see, because I think everyone wants to have a good impact. There's no question. When we start talking to you, we want your products, so that's easy.
Right.
However, do you know? And one, how do we get you to talking to everybody? But two, how do you let people, educate people on the a bad environmental impact you're having when you're doing these other things? And maybe, there's a series in there, if you watch my last video with Ego, I gave him a marketing tip there that he sounds like he's going to take with him. But this one is, maybe you could do a set of videos where you do research ahead of time, but you go out and you take a picture of a jacket or a picture of clothes, picture of scarves, picture whatever, and then you do a little video about, exactly, you've done some research on the materials in it. It's this is the environment, this is what's happening, this is this, is that what you want? Like,
That's a nice take, I would say. That definitely there's something that I have totally not thought about, and it's a very new idea, and it can be implemented upon. Like now, since the malls have started opening up, the products are out there. We can go out and see what exactly is happening and everything. And yes, it can be taken into our things to do, and we can
yeah.
implement that in the coming days.
I just think there's something there about education the consumer on the other side, that why the negative impact, because we're not educated enough. It's great that we want to have a positive impact, but do we
Yeah.
know, I got a pair
What
of
is
jeans
negative?
here. What
Yeah.
was what was used? What chemicals? What other things? What dyes? Was what were the labor conditions? All the things around creating those jeans. I don't know.
Yeah.
Um, like there's a
No,
whole
that's
uneducated.
right.
Yeah, that's exactly it. So you don't have to necessarily specifically target your direct competitor with scarves. I'm just saying you could go just talk about clothing in general, pick something and say, look at this, look what's happening over here, because we don't know. And
Yeah.
that's it. That's what you're trying to change. And when people know, then they're definitely drawn to wanting to make that change and having that impact. I did
Right.
see. I was pretty sure when I looked at your website the other day that I did see that tree promo up. So that's great.
Yeah.
And it's always good to have that environment, that impact. And when you're planting trees, you're going for even a better carbon footprint. So that's
Exactly. Yeah. That's what the ultimate aim is.
so I think, unless I read this wrong, that your co-founder is your sister. Is that
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah. So she's the designer. I'm looking after all the operations around here in Canada, while she does Canada and India both. And she designs it, and she has like a bachelor's. Her bachelor's and her master's has been in fashion designing all throughout. And she is very passionate about shopping and shopping for people. She just needs a credit card and you're sorted. Your wardrobe would be changed in a day or two, so you don't have to worry about it. So that's her passion, to design stuff and to like make people look beautiful. And it does come, like she has been doing that from I would say like when she was maybe 12 or 13, she has had that thing. So she does the designing part. I look after the operations part, and then we together handle the production thing. And yeah, we look into that, how the process, how the raw materials are sourced, how the packaging is supposed to be done, and every process we do it together.
So, did you know right away you were going to be partners and co-founders, or was this something that came out of a natural discussion? How did
It was
that
a very
work?
natural discussion. She always wanted to do something of her own, and me too. And then I actually moved to Canada. She is here, but not that often. So she looks around at the entire production process while we design the stuff together. And like it was like, yeah, our dad was always there behind us that you should do this together. The power of two is always more than the power of one, and plus it's family, so you would never have that friction. Your expectations would be met out, even if there is a bit a kind of a thing which you don't like, you can go out and speak it out clearly, and we are always there to mediate the talks and everything. So yeah, so it was a very, very natural process, and I always enjoy her company. So that's the best part. I always get to talk to her more, discuss things more, tell her, okay, look in this direction now, look in this direction, we have to consider that. So that just gives us more areas of talking to each other and more reasons to talk to each other and enjoy the process together.
So, who right now is your ideal client?
So I would say my ideal client and the people who I have got out and spoken about it is, one, people who are into vegan and vegetarianism and don't mind spending a bit of premium when they know that the quality of the products that they are getting are better, when they know the products which they are getting are definitely more beautiful and they look good on them. And so a lot of our scarves out there which are reversible, and even if you're buying one scarf, they can definitely be used in very different ways. And second, I would say is that I know that it's a bit expensive than the other scarves which are out there, but the people who understand the process and who, as you just said, that we have to educate them the other way around as well. Once we start doing that, we'll definitely, add those consumers as well who don't know about what exactly is happening out there in the fashion world. But it would range from women who are probably 50 years old and to someone like who's 20 years old, because we put a lot of thought process into the designing part as well. We are not giving bulk orders to some Chinese firm or to some any other firm who are into that business. We design each piece ourselves, and we have very limited quantities out there. Like we'll design probably not even 15 pieces per design or 20 pieces per design. And then when those are sold out, we'll move to the next batch. We are not in a hurry to sell out. We are not in a hurry to make lots of profits. We just want people to understand what the process is first. And, those things are different. We are putting thought process into designing the scarves. And yeah, but mostly it's for women out there right now. And it's for women who are from the age from 20 and can go on until 90. You can gift it to your grandma. It will look beautiful on her, I'm sure.
And that's great. So, my follow up question is, since you know who your target audience is, or have a few good ideas, because your age range is a little is pretty good there, and maybe what your 90-year-old wants in a scarf may not be what your 25-year-old wants in a scarf, but they might. uh,
Yeah.
but so everyone talks about hustle. So, what? How are you? What are you doing to get traction and build your audience in this group?
So I would say that when you're going out there, as I have read through, like sitting back home all through the pandemic, because I feel that the market and the season is coming out now, as I just talked about the autumn and the winter. So influencer marketing plays a lot of good and magnificent role. So people, and especially micro influencers in that manner. So we have talked about Instagram ads, or there are Google ads and everything, but until and unless if someone uses it on themselves and someone can send out a good word for it and can understand the ethics and convey it to a bigger audience out there, and that especially lies on the shoulder of someone who has a good following, because we are just starting out and it isn't that easy, uh, that we can probably, just with a few followers, we can sell out a big story. We need people who have bigger audience and can send our word out that we are out there, we are making this thing, and maybe it helps you out.
And how are you finding those influencers? Are you just reaching out to people on Instagram, or are there
So
other groups you're
there's
finding?
a lot of cold emailing and there's a lot of callings. There's a lot of hearing of no's and there are a lot of like hard, I won't say hard, but at times you are not able to put across your message in the right manner and the people say, oh, the word you're using, that's a bit offensive in this language, so you cannot use that word. So once you change your website, then only we'll get back to you. I was like, okay, let's work on that part first. And there are a lot of no's that, okay, maybe scarves don't suit us, we are not a scarf person. And then there are a lot of people who are receptive about it. They're like, oh, that's beautiful. I've been vegetarian all throughout my life and I can understand what you're trying to put out there. And I definitely want to be a part of it. So it's been a lot of responses that we have heard, and I'm enjoying the process of understanding the human psychology behind it and how we need to, go out there and send our message across.
Yeah, we had a question here in the chat room saying since it's a luxury vegan scarf, they're wondering if you're doing any tailor-made ones. Are you doing any one-off or maybe order a custom pack of 10?
Yeah, we are, and we want to move into that part. We are taking orders, and we are understanding that if there are orders, we are ready to make custom made. Like we used to, I have taken certain orders in the past in which we have given the initials written on the scarves for the people who want to gift it out and who want to, maybe use it in some occasion or something like that. So yes, we are doing tailor made, we are doing monogramming, we are doing customized as well.
And just another question from my point of view, what happens if I wanted to order a whole bunch and put Toronto Starts logo on them?
Wow, that would be nice. I would take that order right away.
Yeah, I just think there might be a branding opportunity here, depending on what's going on, to kind of think about that.
Yeah, right. No, definitely. As I said, B2C is definitely a perspective which we are into right now. But B2B is a thing. When we started this conversation, I was talking to you about merchandising in the sports industry and
Yeah.
everything. So that's something which is there in the back of our mind. But since sports are low at the moment, and we don't want to just go out there and risk, as we said, we are very thoughtful about the production process, that we don't want to produce if we feel the audience is not yet out there, because we don't want to waste the raw materials and we don't want to get into the wastage process. So yes, we will definitely be going forward with that.
I think now's the time though for sports because they're just coming back. Was Jay's game on Friday?
Yeah.
And other sports are starting up, and all of these leagues are a little desperate to find new revenue opportunities because they're hurting.
Yeah.
So you
Right.
can say, hey, Jays and Leafs, you don't have any scarves. What's going on? Let me get you some scarves.
Yeah. Do you know some people out there? I really want to go and talk to, like, I've sent out emails, but I haven't really got any responses. Do you know anyone out there? Probably I can take your contacts and contact them.
I don't know anybody personally, but if you email me afterwards, one of the startups I work with, he's a good guy. He Maple Leaf Sports Entertainment is one of their clients. So if you talk to him and get a good relationship, he might be able to introduce you.
Oh, nice. Sounds good. Yeah.
We're a pretty tight knit network. I don't know anybody directly, but I know people who know people because,
Yeah,
but
right. But
and
that that solves the purpose. So yeah.
yeah, and and we help each other out, so it's all
All
good.
right.
And if it's I think there's an opportunity here. I don't know the size of the opportunity, how big the opportunity is. I don't, but I think there is something. And the other thing you might want to think about, just because I know somebody else has been doing this in our community, is going after the Premier Leagues, the
Yeah.
soccer, because a lot of the soccer contracts and stuff are a lot cheaper than they used to be. And again, they're all, so I know a few startups who are getting into that space for a number of reasons. So if there's anything in that area, it might be interesting.
Yeah, totally. Very nice idea. Yeah.
Now back to questions. So I like to share both successes and failures, so there's a chance that others won't make the same mistakes following in your footsteps. Can you tell me a time where you screwed up something and maybe made a wrong pivot or a startup decision?
Uh, yes. I was considering a couple of I would say startups before I got into this one, and The only thing I learned from those failures is that I was rushing into the process of it. I was probably getting too eager to, okay, I want to go out there, I want to do out there, and the thought process behind it was not very deep. So that's what I learned from my failure, that you don't have to hurry it up, and you don't have to be too laid back as well, because you have to get out there. But if you want to get into a startup, one, you need to have a passion for it. You really need to have an attachment to it, that is something that you exactly want to do, and not just do it for the sake of doing it. So that's where the pivot point came out to me. And I just thought that, okay, let's do something in which my sister can help me. I am there, I am not going out there, and I have to find probably a co-founder, because she's already there, she's helping me out, and we are a beautiful team, and we'll do it all together. So it was just being like hurrying into a thing in which I was not sure I wanted to do, and that led to the failure. So that's something that I won't want to do in the future again.
Good. Take your time. Don't rush into something you're not comfortable with. It's always good
Yeah.
advice. So do you have any other tips for founders?
And then I have is that it's always a learning journey. I have, like, when I started this venture as well, it's not that they were not mistakes. I did an entire photo shoot. I made an entire website. And then I had a talk with a couple of marketing people, and they thought that your messages are not out there clear. Like, you need to think about it again. And then I started the whole process again. I started with my website again. We did a photo shoot again, and then we put out our entire wordings of, like, we wrote it ourselves, that what we have to put out on the website, in which we can convey our message in a right manner. It should actually feel like it's sustainable. It should actually feel like it's vegan. Like, it was not being presented through my earlier message. So yes, that again, the message would be out there that it's a learning process. You should be out there curious and learn about it, and we have to keep our egos a little down and just learn. Even if there's someone else who we don't know is coming up and giving us a good idea, you should just follow it. You should give it a thought.
So, do you have any startup advisors that you use?
So the startup advisor in Canada is, like, I'm looking out for mentors. Like, Craig, you are one of the people I came up for the first time and talked to about what I'm planning to do. And
Fantastic.
yeah, and in Canada, I won't say I have a lot of advisors or a lot of people that I know. I'm still going out and, presenting my idea to them, presenting my like thought process to them. But back in India, yes, I have a team. I have certain friends who have done, like, masters from very good universities out there and are into the research part of different fashion houses, and they help me out. Like, I go out to them, we schedule a call, and I tell them, okay, that is what I did in past, this is what we are planning to do next, can you suggest some changes? And yes, I have people who are fashion industry specific, and they help me out with our things we are trying to do. Yeah.
And there's a lot of people in the community. I know, like I said, we met through a Move the Dial event. There, they had a bunch of great community. Female co-founders was there. They're still going. Ryerson has a strong fashion startup community and a fashion incubator.
Yeah, they have one. Yeah.
So there's people there that you can get connected to. There's a lot of people in the community that can help and mentor and advise. And if I'm always around. Join us on Slack, everybody out there, or just message me. I'm usually you might have to message me a couple of times because sometimes emails get lost. It's true, but I do respond. And depending on what's going on, happy to help or point you in the right direction to help. And that's exactly what it's about. Is sometimes we just need that connection, that advice, someone to calm us down, or someone to help us connect, or someone to give us that advice when you're rushing into something you're not comfortable with, and someone to take help you just think that through.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So what is next for Jay Wetter Scarves and for you?
So I am hoping for, like, after the COVID thing, definitely things are down. Businesses are hurt a little bit and everybody is suffering a bit on their part. So I'm just hoping for a decent, marketing strategy to be panned out, and that my message goes out well, and I am able to understand our consumers more. So for the coming season, at least for the 2020 and 2021, when we have the winters out there, I just want the things to go out and smoothly. Looking at the environment that we are out in, I'm not expecting too much, but I'm just expecting to put out a beautiful word about our brand and just like tell consumers about what we are trying to do. And yes, we are moving towards reforestation with every product we sell out there. We are planting a tree on your behalf.
And where can people find out more if they want to know?
One is our website, and second is our Instagram, which is Vegan Scarves. And we are putting out more, like every update we are doing in our website, or I would say like one tree planted is something which is planned out next, and that's what we are trying to do, and we hope to take it forward from there.
And someone's in the chat room who I know is working with startups in foreign markets is asking if you're open to other marketing places outside of Canada.
Oh yeah, we would love to. Like I'm having a talk with some people out in US, and but I would love to explore other markets, and we would love to create something which is specific for those markets, because usage of scarves and the designs which are used in scarves, we are looking into that. So yeah, we would love to look into different markets and explore that. Yes.
Yeah, and I just put your email address in the chat room. Hopefully that's okay.
Yeah,
So June can contact you. Apparently they got some ideas in Korea that might be able to help you connect in there.
Perfect. Yeah, June, I'm looking forward to talk to you.
So thank you for taking the time for being on Startup Talk today. Bavneet, I really appreciate it and sharing your story with the audience. Thank you. Thanks again for sharing all your insights and advice for startups.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a really, really warm feeling connecting with you.
I'm glad. And don't forget to reach out to me. There's a couple connections I mentioned I was going to give you.
Yeah, you just froze.
That's all right.
There. Yeah.
Don't forget to reach out to me so I can send you those connections.
Perfect. Yeah, I'll just email you.
Perfect.
Okay,
Thanks.
bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for having me. Bye-bye.